Local Justice, presented by Elrod Bobe Law Firm, serving our community since 1980. Here's your host, Attorney Ben Leader.
Welcome to Local Justice. I'm your host, Attorney Ben Leader, and today I'm honored to be sitting here with Chief Crosby of the Tega Cay Police Department. Chief Crosby has spent nearly 3 decades supporting local law enforcement efforts and help keeping the public safe, whether it was his time in Myrtle Beach or his time here leading the Tega Cay Police Department. We're extremely grateful for your commitment to justice and your service, and honored to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me, Ben. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate your time and your willingness to be here and let the viewers get to know you a little bit.
Yeah.
Would love for you to just start out by telling us a little bit about your background and kind of what led you to the path of law enforcement.
That happened many years ago. So I was born here in South Carolina and I was raised in Florence. And as a young child, I had a situation where I was playing outside and there were some woods near my home, and I found a bank bag. And I opened up the bag and it had a bunch of different keys to different businesses, and they were all labeled with the different businesses. And I remember I went inside and I told my dad and showed him what I found, and he said, okay, we need to call the police and have them come out. And I said, okay. And I was thinking my dad was gonna handle this situation. He said, now when the officer gets here, you gotta talk to him. And at first I was like, okay. Well, then it hit me. Every city has that one police officer that everybody knows about. Well, in Florence, it was Sergeant Bass. And everybody knew that if you got stopped by Sergeant Bass, that you were getting a ticket. I was petrified. I was like, Daddy, what if that officer comes? He's like, don't worry about it, you'll be fine. I looked up, saw the police car coming, and sure enough, it was that unmarked blue Mustang that everybody knew, and there was Sergeant Bass. But what he did that afternoon was he spent almost an hour with me as a young kid, talking with me, letting me see his police car, talking to me about what it meant to be a police officer. And he went above and beyond that day, and that is what inspired me to be a police officer, is what he did for me that day.
Wow, that's remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah, he took the extra time to really provide a memorable experience for you. Yeah.
He did.
Wow. And so I know that prior to coming to York County and to Tega Cay to lead that department, you spent quite a lot of years down in Myrtle Beach.
Yes, I did. So after Sergeant Bass kind of influenced me to be an officer, I had a friend of mine that was a friend of the family's that was a law enforcement officer with Myrtle Beach. And I told him, I said, I'm interested in being a police officer. And I had just turned 21. And he said, okay, let's do a ride along. Well, I did 3 ride alongs with him, and I fell in love with it. And I was fortunate enough that I applied. I turned 21 in September, and I got hired in October. And I've been on the department there. I stayed there 24 years before I came up here. So I've been in law enforcement a little over 28 years total.
Wow. And in 24 years there, based on your background, it looks like you worked about every job possible, every department.
You know, I tell everybody, I truly had a very storybook and blessed career. They blessed me with a lot of great opportunities to get to where I am today. They blessed me with a lot of training and things. They really invested in me, and I'm ever grateful for them for what they did for me.
That's great. And I noticed there was a lot of, very positive publicity when you did take the job here and left them. I'm sure it was a bittersweet time after all those years being a part of that community.
Yeah, it was. I'd made a lot of great friends, built a great network, and I had a lot of great people influence me to help me grow to where I am today. And so to lead them was very hard, but I had to, again, grow in my professional development to come up here.
And as you look back at all the different jobs you worked in Myrtle Beach, it almost looks like the perfect paper trail to prepare somebody to lead a department. Was that ever kind of in your thought process along the way?
You know, it never was. So I had a captain who was a good mentor for me, and she would always tell me and push me, you have the ability, you can do more. She really encouraged me to go back to school and get my degree. And it was not until I became a lieutenant that I really became I won't say a student of leadership, and started learning more about leadership. And so as I was going through my career and had the opportunity to go into investigations and administrations, patrol, it exposed me to everything that a police department could go through. And what you learn there is that what you may think as a patrol officer, one process that you have, you're focused on it, but that process influences so many other people. And so it could cause inefficiencies in an organization. So I got to learn about budgets. I got to learn about the jail staff. I had developed appreciation for the jailers and the dispatchers, a job that is so difficult that many people don't think about. You think about strategizing and networking and planning for the future, and then communications in my PIO days. It really helped me to be prepared to be a chief today.
And it looks like you learned quite a bit about the administrative side of kind of law enforcement and everything that goes on behind the scenes there. But you were also actively involved in some pretty intense, boots on the ground efforts, hostage negotiation type committees and things like that.
Yeah, I was fortunate. I served about, I think it was 13 or 14 years on the SWAT team. Funny story is I retired from the SWAT team because of my daughter. It was time for me to focus on family a little bit. And I retired, and I walked in the next day, and the chief said, "Hey, we have a commander's position open on the hostage negotiation team." And I said, "Okay, sir." I said, "I'll start looking around and see if I can find somebody." And he said, "No, maybe you don't understand. I have a commander's position open." And I said, "Okay, sir." He goes, "Okay, let me put it this way. I had a commander's position open." So I then became the commander of the hostage negotiation teams. But those experiences, again, they really helped me. And one of the big takeaways for those experiences was preparation, having the information that you need to be prepared. You know, as an officer, we go to various situations that we have to start planning before we ever go to the call for service. As a SWAT officer, you may get information on a home or a place that you may be having to serve a warrant on, but it's always changing. Nothing is ever on face value what you have, and so you've got to learn to adapt. And so you have to have that good foundation, and you have to have the knowledge to be able to adapt. And that's what those specialized units taught me.
Yeah, and it's the training and the protocols have to really be embedded in your brain to be able to automatically, go there under any situation.
Yes, at a moment's notice, law enforcement, we hear the term routine traffic stop. There's nothing ever routine about a traffic stop. Every one of them is different, so you have to have those fundamentals and that basic information to know how to handle those.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, again, it looks like, looking back now, it was the perfect path for you and to ultimately be where you are today. And I'm sure Myrtle Beach during that time period saw some explosive growth, within it, the tourism and the community as a whole. And you're probably seeing a lot of that in Tega Cay now too.
We are. Tega Cay is growing really quickly. We've got several neighborhoods that are still got to be developed. We got the Grove that has just started being developed, and that's going to cause a lot more people to come into our city.
That's great. Well, appreciate you sharing a little bit about your background and what ultimately led us to this point in your career. Really want to dive in this next segment a little bit more about some of the things you're passionate about, some of the things you've brought to the department here, and let the viewers learn a little bit more about what the Tega Cay Police Department's doing.
Sounds great.
So we'll be right back with a quick word from our sponsors, and thank you again to Chief Crosby for being with us today.
As soon as I contacted Elrod Pope, they handled everything. Without Elrod Pope's help, I'd have been paying hospital bills for years to come. Elrod Pope just took the stress and they put it on their table and took it off mine.
Coming to Elrod Pope, I didn't have to worry about anything. Everything was taken care of. It put me in a real calm state because I had someone on my side. I knew that I was in the right hands. It felt great.
We know the type. You like to start early, finish late, make lemon squares, and make payments to the college fund from anywhere in the house. We know you rely on Comporium for the things you rely on most, like a view of the backyard. That's just a bunny, and hundreds of channels to watch, whenever you want. So you may think of us as just your internet company, but we're more like the I didn't know they could do all that company. Comporium, always ready.
Coke Zero is now Coke Zero Sugar, with great Coke taste. Some people were excited to hear the news, some were skeptical. So we're not gonna have the star of the show you're watching come out and say, "You'll love it." No special jingle written by this week's hottest pop star. No famous internet celebs who happen to be holding the label just so. Okay, maybe just one little pour shot. The only thing that will make you believe Coke Zero Sugar has great Coke taste is trying it yourself. Ice cold Coke Zero Sugar. Try one today.
Being there for someone in their time of need is what Green Funeral Home has done compassionately for 4 generations. It's a privilege we take very seriously.
We believe each life should be honored and remembered by family and friends. Whether you choose traditional burial in our chapel or another venue, or cremation provided by our on-site crematory, we will help guide you through each step to ensure your needs are met.
We are also available to discuss pre-planning. Peace of mind that you have helped your loved one by making those difficult decisions.
When the need arises, our family is here for your family.
Welcome back to Local Justice. I'm Ben Leader, and I'm here with Chief Crosby of the Tega Cay Police Department. Chief, thank you again for being with us today. It's an honor to have you on the show.
Again, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Want to talk about culture some, because one of the things I know you're passionate about and that you've worked hard to build at the Tega Cay Department is having a good culture.
Yes.
And I imagine that's what allows you to attract and retain, high caliber officers and talent.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit about your thoughts and philosophies on culture.
So, recruiting and retaining officers is so hard these days. When I applied for my job in Myrtle Beach, we had over 1,000 and something applicants for 10 positions.
Wow.
And today, that number has dwindled drastically, and the workforce is changing to where people are not staying with departments 24, 25 years anymore. They're moving for a variety of reasons. So we as organizations, we have to make sure that we have the right culture to, one, attract the right people, and then two, keep those people that we have within the organization. There's a famous quote out there that says, culture will eat strategy every day for breakfast. And you can have all these great things and all these initiatives in place if you want to, but if you don't have the right culture. And now it's important also to identify what culture is. Culture is how you do things. What are the values? What are your practices? What do you believe in as an organization to share collectively amongst each other? If you don't have that why and that good how and that good culture, then you're not going to retain people, because morale is the byproduct of that, and it's going to be bad. So people are not going to stay. They're not going to want to come and be a part of your organization. And that comes with having, one, expectations, clear expectations, having standards and not willing to deviate from those standards, but being clear in those two things so everybody knows how to achieve the things they can achieve.
That's fantastic. And I think everything you just said could apply to any job and any field and any business, really. But,
yes.
There's a big difference between, saying we have a good culture and actually showing you have a good culture and living it. And, a lot of people will put core values on their walls, but if their employees don't see them living out those values and applying those values to discipline and meetings and, day-to-day work, then it doesn't mean much. But it sounds like y'all have really gone above and beyond to kind of drive those values into your culture.
That's one of the things we talk about, is that if it's just letters on a wall, then that's all it is. Your culture is living and breathing. It's changing every single day. So you have to be attuned as to what's going on in your organization and talking. And one of the things I talk about quite often is people don't care what you know, and they don't care what you do until they know that you care. So if we don't develop relationships, and whether that's internal or external, then people are not going to buy into what you're trying to do and the mission and the vision that you have. And one of the things that we did at Tega Cay this is not things that I've done, this is things that we've done collectively as an organization. Our team, when we developed our mission statement, we had a focus on both internal and external. And we did that intentionally because our belief is that if we take care of our people on the inside, then our people will take care of the people on the outside, which is our citizens. I hear a lot of CEOs and executive leaders say, well, I spend all my time on the outside. Well, if you do, you're missing what your culture is, and you're missing what your people need. And if you miss that, then your people is not going to take care of your customers, or in our case, our citizens who we're trying to serve.
I could not agree more with that, and we apply that same philosophy even within a law firm. If we take care of our team, they're going to take care of our clients. Correct. And they're going to want to take care of our clients, and it's the same thing for y'all.
Yeah, it's one thing that we say is we may not always give you what you want, but we're going to give you what you need to be successful.
That's right. And I think part of what allows a law enforcement agency to have such a good culture and to have that buy-in is the employees and the officers knowing that y'all take care of them too. And one of the things I appreciate most about what you do is your thoughts and philosophies on wellness and officer wellness and how outspoken you are on that. And I think there's a need for that in today's world more than ever. Could you kind of briefly touch on just where that stems from and where that passion comes from?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I was part of a situation in Myrtle Beach to where I was in part of an officer that got killed, Officer Jacob Hanchard. I was on scene that night. And I was involved in some other situations to where officers involved in officer-involved shooting. And I began to see the impact that it has on the officers. And Myrtle was very innovative in putting together protocols where officers went through debriefings. They had peer teams that would come in and help you to navigate these issues and problems. But for so long, when I got into law enforcement 28 years ago, you didn't talk about mental health. It was taboo, because if you said that you needed help, your badge got taken away, your gun got taken away, and that was your identity. Mm-hmm. And officers were closed off to that. And you've seen that officers they face something like 170 traumatic incidents in their career. And it's just amazing to me what they go through each and every day. So having that wellness program in place, and that's what we started at Tega Cay. We had an officer who was very passionate about physical wellness. So he is able to develop wellness programs for the department members, meal plans for department members, workout plans. So we have a gym inside of our department, which we allow officers to work out at while they're on duty, as long as we have the coverage, because it's important to have them physically prepared to do the job. But equally as important is also being mentally prepared to do the job. You know, we're dealing with so many emotions these days. You've heard the old saying, leave work at work and home at home. Your brain, there's science that says your brain cannot physically do that. So we have to teach officers how to deal with those emotions that they're having. What are some trauma things that they've gone through that may impact them? So we have a wellness room to where we have a massage chair. They've come in, they've had a bad day, a stressful day, they've had an argument. Before they get into work, go in, take your vest off, get a massage, 20 minutes, come back out, you're refreshed, you feel better, you're in a better mental state. You go to a call, it's a rough call. Come in, get that massage, take 20 minutes, get into a better place and go back to the call for service. We also have a clinician that comes in once a month. She is no tie to the department. The officers are protected by HIPAA. I don't know that they go see her. I don't even know what they talk about because they're protected by HIPAA. And so they go see her offsite if they want to. It's totally voluntary. I don't make them go. And so they have the opportunity to go and talk to someone besides me or besides some other peers, someone that's neutral and trained by the South Carolina, or who's a private clinician, but also part of the South Carolina Law Enforcement Assistance Program. And they're able to have somebody to talk to get some of this stuff off their chest.
And I think you have done such a good job of removing the stigma of that and removing any guilt or shame that may, have previously been associated with asking for help or getting help. And you've made it such an easy process for them that doesn't have to involve you. And that's just such a fascinating statistic you mentioned. I think over 170 kind of critical traumatic incidents that any given officer may experience, where the general public may have 2 or 3 of those in that same span of life. And so that carries a massive toll, mentally and physically. And I'm just glad to hear all the good things you're doing to change that narrative and to overall change the industry for a positive.
One of the things that we say is okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to stay that way.
That's right. That's exactly right. We're going to take another quick break from our sponsors, and we'll be right back to wrap up the final segment with you here shortly. And thank you again for your time.
Sure. Thank you.
All right. That's it for that segment of Local Justice. We'll be right back shortly.
As soon as I contacted Elrod Pope, they handled everything. Without Elrod Pope's help, I'd have been paying hospital bills for years to come. Elrod Pope just took the stress and they put it on their table and took it off mine.
Coming to Elrod Pope, I didn't have to worry about anything. Everything was taken care of. It put me in a real calm state because I had someone on my side. I knew that I was in the right hands. It felt great.
At Palmetto Pride, we know we have a choice. The choice for a cleaner South Carolina. And it's an easy one at that. Don't litter. No grand gestures or heroic efforts here, but the outcome still has monumental impacts. When it comes to our state, every choice counts and every action matters. From the great outdoors to parks next door, from Main Street to your street. All it takes is a little bit of pride to keep South Carolina beautiful.
When a catastrophe hits, it can be a very stressful time for you. When you have trees on your house, when you have trees on your cars, and you don't know what to do, you call us.
We're not a 1-800 number, we're an 803 number. We've been in business for over 60 years because we take care of our clients. That means taking care of them during claim situations.
We're not 9 to 5, we're 24/7. We're gonna be there when you need us most. Gill Insurance, your local auto owner's agent. Understanding business is how we do business.
When it comes to prescription medications and health needs, Rock Hill residents have been turning to Good Pharmacy for over 50 years.
I've been coming to Good Pharmacy since we came to Rock Hill in 1984, and I would not change pharmacists for anything.
With their knowledgeable staff, you can always trust that your prescription will be filled with complete confidence and care for your health. Good Pharmacy, conveniently located at the corner of Ebenezer Road and Camden Avenue.
Founders Federal Credit Union means banking made for you. The on the go, the pick up and go, and the "oh, I want to go." Because at Founders, we give you the financial tools that make every dollar work for you. For the little things to the big things. For your future and your peace of mind. We'll always stay grounded in our roots, but reaching beyond what you'd expect is where we'll always go. Find out what our members already know and enjoy a new way to bank. Relax, you're with Founders.
Welcome back to Local Justice. I'm attorney Ben Leader, and today I'm honored to be here with Chief Crosby of the Tega Cay Police Department. Chief, we really appreciate your time and look forward to wrapping up this final segment with you.
I've enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure. I'd love to hear about, how you support your officers in today's climate, because I think, like you mentioned earlier, it's harder than ever to attract officers. There's a lot being asked of officers. Accountability, I think, is as high as it's ever been from a public transparency standpoint. What do you do to bring about talent and get them in with Tega Cay these days?
Yeah, the big thing we try to do is develop relationships, and engage in conversation, and simply just talk with the officers. We want feedback. One of the things that we talk about is we don't do everything right all the time. We make mistakes. And so we want to hear the officers' feedback as to what's going well, what's not going well. We do a SWAT analysis every year to determine what are we doing well, what are our challenges, what are our threats, and we incorporate those for the next year to try to work for those to make sure that we're getting better and listening to what the officers are saying. We try to engage in conversations as far as their evaluation process. We have different programs where they can make recommendations to the chain of command about how to change maybe a policy or procedure, or maybe we're doing something that's just not efficient, because sometimes as the chief, I may think something sounds great in my head and looks great on paper, but in application it really messes things up on the road. Well, those are the things that I want to know about. So we ask for that feedback so we can make things better.
And that's great collaboration, both within your department and your agency, but I know you also collaborate a lot with the other surrounding agencies, whether it's the multi-jurisdictional drug task unit. Is that something y'all are actively involved in?
That is something that I'm so very impressed with, because down in Horry County when I was with Myrtle Beach, there was great collaboration with law enforcement, but when you get up here to see how well the agencies work well together and how we communicate together, it is phenomenal. If I need something, I can call Sheriff Breeden or Chief Watts or Chief Grice over in Clover, or any of the chiefs here in York County, and I'll get whatever I need quickly. We're always meeting and talking at our monthly DEU meetings about what's happening, what's impacting our citizens, not just in one specific jurisdiction, but because we know it doesn't just stay within that one jurisdiction, it moves around. So the citizens of York County are getting a great collaborative law enforcement effort, not just with the municipalities, but also with the sheriff's office and also with our federal government.
That's fantastic. And we've had Sheriff Breeden on and some other officers as well. We've learned a lot about some of the issues that they're facing out in the community today, fentanyl being one of the larger ones that we keep hearing about. Yeah. What would you say are some of the biggest threats right now going on in Tega Cay? Is drug use as big of a problem there as it is in some other parts of the county?
We're very fortunate that we have been classified as one of the safest cities in South Carolina routinely over the past several years. But one of the things that I tell citizens quite a bit when I talk with them is that I don't want you to live in fear, but I want you to live in awareness.
Absolutely.
And what that means is if we go out to the mall or we go to the shopping center, a lot of times we find ourselves just engrossed in what our cell phone's telling us, and we're not paying attention to what's around us. Put your phone in your pocket. Look what's happening around you. Nowadays we're getting scams where people are calling to act like they're the police department, or AI. They're posing to be your grandparent or somebody else. Make sure you're doing your due diligence when you get those phone calls. Crime is happening all around us, and we're never going to be able to prevent and stop crime. But the beautiful thing is that our citizens have the power to deter and prevent some of that crime from happening. Things such as simply putting lights around your house, cutting the shrubberies, locking your car door, that 9 p.m. routine. I know people get tired of hearing it, but if we take the opportunity away from some of these crimes from occurring, the people do truly have the power. So don't live in fear, but live in awareness.
Absolutely. That's great sage advice. And another thing I know that you're passionate about and that you've brought a lot of life to the department with is technology.
Yes.
And that is rapidly changing, for all of us, artificial intelligence, things like that. How is it impacting the police department?
Technology is ever changing. We were talking beforehand about my days as a PIO. When I became a PIO, departments were just then embracing Facebook. And that was in 2014, 2015. By the time I left, we were utilizing YouTube, creating videos, graphics, all kind of things, and now look at us today with what we have. So it is ever changing with the technology. You know, you hear things like license plate readers, and you hear things about the computers that we're using and AI. You know, officers now are able to go have their body cam on, come back, and the reports can be generated for them and then just proof this. So we have to evaluate what is good technology that makes us more efficient, but what is technology that we need to let the bugs get worked out before we jump into that. So a lot of it is about, one, evaluating what technology is there, but really what's important is the networking to see what agencies have done what's been good for them, what's worked bad for them, and then most importantly, what does your community want? Because a lot of times when we go back to the word service, you know, a lot of agencies have protect and serve on their cars. Well, we're serving our community, and we always have to remember, what is it that our community is wanting us to have?
That's great. Well, you've been doing this for nearly 3 decades now.
Yeah.
Curious, you know, what is it that gets you motivated to get up every day
Yeah.
and keep fighting and keep securing justice and the way you've been doing it for so long?
You know, I absolutely love this job. I really do. It's a passion of mine. And a lot of people ask me, what is my why? And it's very simple. I want to create a healthy work environment so that my team is able to achieve their personal and professional goals while we achieve the organizational mission. There is nothing more gratifying for me as a chief than to see one of my team members accomplish something that they think was never reachable and make them strive for something that they thought was impossible and push them out of their comfort zone. And when they get that achievement, that's what is so important for me as a chief, and that's what makes me do this every day.
Well, I just love your story about, you know, at such a young age, that sergeant, I believe, in Myrtle Beach was what kind of flipped that switch for you and, you know, turned that light on, and it had never gotten cut off. And, you know, you found your passion and your drive, and you're doing exactly where you need to be and what you need to be doing.
Well, he taught me a valuable lesson that day, you know, and as I look back many years ago, it's very simple. A lot of times people are just needing time. They just want your time. And so you spend that time and show them that you care, and it means a lot to somebody.
Well, thank you for all you're doing for our communities to help keep us safe, to help the city of Tega Cay continue to move forward into this new era of growth. And thank you for your time here today with us. It's been a pleasure getting to chat with you and to let the viewers get to know the man behind the scenes a little bit.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And that's it for another episode of Local Justice. A sincere thanks to Chief Crosby with the Tega Cay Police Department for being generous with his time and insights with us today. And we'll see you next time, and stay safe out there. Thank you. All right.
There you go.
Easy enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. You did a great job. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And if there's ever
As soon as I contacted Elrod Pope, they handled everything. Without Elrod Pope's help, I'd have been paying hospital bills for years to come. Elrod Pope just took the stress and they put it on their table and took it off mine.
Coming to Elrod Pope, I didn't have to worry about anything. Everything was taken care of. It put me in a real calm state because I had someone on my side. I knew that I was in the right hands. It felt great.
Kidney disease is becoming more and more prevalent, especially with diabetes and hypertension. My training with kidney disease helps me to talk to patients and guide them through the steps that they can take, the changes that they can make into their lifestyles. And we have a dedicated team of providers, including dietitians and pharmacists that we work with to educate patients towards achieving that.
We know the type. You like to start early, finish late, make lemon squares, and make payments to the college fund from anywhere in the house. We know you rely on Comporium for the things you rely on most, like a view of the backyard. That's just a bunny, and hundreds of channels to watch, whenever you want. So you may think of us as just your internet company, but we're more like the I didn't know they could do all that company. Comporium, always ready.
From my first watch I purchased as a teenager, which still runs today, to the diamond ring I surprised my wife with, which she still talks about today. A gift from Norman Hagee is as good as it gets. Whether it's elegant timepieces by Bulova, Caravel, and Bel Air, or ornamental ironwork-inspired Southern Gates collection, or dazzling fine jewelry. A gift from Hagee is backed by over 60 years of family-owned and operated experience. Norman Hagee Jewelers, for gifts as good as it gets.